Hi, Chris here from Studio 44. In this video I'm going to go through how I made my latest bootleg. It's a remake of Filterheadz and Tomaz Sunshine. So I have a minute intro here just for all the DJs, you know, when you're mixing. Very important. The first sample I have here coming in with a filter. So that's actually just taken from the original track. Sometimes it's better to just use what's already there instead of trying to recreate it. It actually just sounds great on its own, so I kept it in. Then I just have a nice collection of beats here, a nice kick. Then I have a clap, which is actually two claps. I have one clap going down the middle in mono, and then a second clap split into two channels and panned left and right. Then I have a rolling hi-hat, so that's just messing with the velocity. The first two MIDI notes are lower and the last two MIDI notes are standard levels, so it just kind of rolls like that, kind of like a sidechain compression effect, but a bit more natural. Then I have these two hi-hats here. It's an open hi-hat that's copied twice. One is standard and the second is kind of on a different pattern, so they bounce off each other. Nothing too complicated there. And a conga. Then I put, there's kind of like an African chant here that I just ripped off the original as well. So when you hear it all together, it actually sounds pretty good. Then into the build up here, I have the kick fading out, just a standard fade. Well, actually I think everything's fading out here if I'm not wrong. Yeah, everything's fading out, and I have white noise kind of creeping up here as well. So we'll have a listen. Right, so we're into the first little break here. It's 30 seconds. So what I have here again is the riser that goes up. Then I have it coming down to kind of like blend the transition. I have just a standard bass line here on Serum. I think it's a sine wave, just standard sine wave. Yeah. So that's actually just three notes there. That's G, D sharp and A. That's all it is. So then I have a pad here, and I have the pad kind of fading in just to create more tension. And then finally I ripped the another section from the song. So yeah, I actually went looking for the chant, because I was kind of like thinking I might just use the chant, you know, but obviously it's just I couldn't find it anywhere. So I said, look, I'll put a really exaggerated EQ on it, take loads of the low end, loads of the mid end and the high end off it, just kind of like crush it down so you can still hear it, but it's just, it takes out all the other elements and kind of just leaves the vocal. So let's have a listen there. So the kick in is nice and groovy. I have everything that I showed you before plus this bass line here. I'll just run through it briefly. So yeah, there's just these notes here extended out. The only difference is it starts on the root note of G, second note moves up to C, and then back down to G. So there's just it kind of gives it that kind of rolling vibe. But what I've done here as well is I've put a sidechain compression on here. But the way I've done it is, instead of being in like fourth notes, so like pushing down like this, it's in eighth notes. I mean it's on fourth notes here, but the way the pattern is, it's pushing it down in double time. So you're kind of getting this effect here. If I was to just put it on like a standard sidechain, it doesn't fit as nice. Kind of like though it pushes down like the first note, but then the second note kind of like is exposed and just doesn't sound as connected with the rest of the samples. So yeah, here's the kick in again. That's another 30 seconds there, and then it goes into the same again, but with a ride cymbal here. I'll play it for you. That's all that is. Just kind of gives it a bit more of a lift. And then I have these like little percussion bits. Then I have, here's the second one. Just before the it kicks in again. And then I have this bit here. So we'll have a listen to all that. So then I have kind of like a breakdown section here before the actual break. So I've just taken the bass line from the first break, put it here, took out the kind of rolling bass line here, took out everything except the kick, and then brought in the vocal sample again. So the transition is actually pretty nice. So as you can see here on the bass line, the last section is sustained. That's done on purpose just to create more mood, a bit more tension. I have it here as well, and it just kind of, yeah, it works well. Then the break here, the first 30 seconds is just the kind of main melody filtered along with the vocal sample just kind of rising up. Then it breaks into this with the kick. It's all about creating tension and atmosphere when you're doing breaks. You don't want to make it too overcomplicated, really, like, unless it calls for it, but in this case it definitely doesn't. Like, on the build up, what I've done is I have a low pass filter on the kick, and I have it set so as that it's low for most, and then it kind of opens up as the kick starts to roll up. But then I also have a high pass filter. Yeah, I have a high pass filter set up to thin it out. And then it turns off on the kick in. I have it set to turn off there. So again, just adds to the build up. You don't want your build ups to be like too heavy. So any chance you can get to like use some filtering, you should take it. Then on the master channel here, I have a delay, Ableton's delay plugin that reacts at the end. And that again, it just kind of it works to like gel everything together just on the peak of the build up. Then I have an EQ here, but I have the first 30 hertz rolled off. It's kind of important to do that because it just clears all the mud, the kind of unheard frequencies out of your track. It just makes more space for everything to kind of gel together. So the kick in is the same as the first one, pretty much. And then the outro, I think this little break here is just 15 seconds. And then I used that opportunity to remove the bass line completely, because we have a good minute and a half of bass line here, and I just thought, yeah, it's a good time to just cut it out. Then it's just simple minute long outro with all the samples kind of fading out. So yeah, this track is, I'm going to mix this track. I might do another video when I'm mixing it, but I'll have this track mixed and mastered fairly soon, and then I'll have it up for free download. So yeah, one of my all-time favorite tracks. I've always wanted to do a version of it. Sometimes it's better to wait until you're sure that you know what you want to do with the track, because worst thing you can do is rush into it and it doesn't turn out the way you want it to. But this has definitely turned out the way I wanted it to, and when it's all finished, I'll have it sent out to everybody, and hopefully it gets support and everybody enjoys it. Thanks very much for watching this video. I'll be back with another one very soon.